passe. Super, l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
Hello everybody and welcome to Uninformed Handball Hour, the original, the OG English language podcast for handball. I'm going to do a quick spin around our guests for today. We have Chris O'Reilly and Alex Kulish. How you doing, boys?
We talk handball and we've been doing it for a really long time. Still the highest rated handball podcast on Spotify and Apple podcasts. Highest rated.
Someone's done their homework.
But you can keep us at the top and go online and give us a lovely 5-star rating on either of those platforms to keep us the best English-speaking podcast in all the land.
Yeah, even without those ratings, that doesn't matter. That's a fact. Though I wouldn't know. I haven't heard any other ones. So, let's talk handball, shall we? We're going to dive into early season check-ins. And since we had the start of the Champions League, we haven't really dived into it too much. Campo and I had a little morning club after Kielce's Match of the Week victory last week, but we're 3 rounds into it now, and I think it's safe to say that it has not gone exactly as we've all anticipated. We're going to try and have a look at the teams that have surprised us in good and not so good ways so far, and figure out whether those teams are going to continue in that vein. A little bit of stick or twist, as Brian said just before we started recording.
Sticky or twisty.
And
get it right.
Sticky or twisty. Oh God. Of the early season results, Alex, which teams have really stood out for you? Who do you want to talk about first?
I'm just going to start with a very easy one, and that is Barcelona, because everyone was doubting them, except for me. And I'd actually, I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit to start, just because I haven't talked about this since we did our preview podcast, but my Group B predictions. Remember them? Anyone remember my Group B predictions?
I'm pretty sure I can find them, but tell us.
Go on, watch.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Do you don't remember them? Is that
I do remember them. I do remember them. I said Barcelona will stay at the top. That's what they did. They've looked very dominant. I also said Magdeburg will finish 4th in the group. Right now, they're standing in 5th. And my last one, which I'm pretty happy with, is Wisła Płock, who flattered to deceive last year, reaching the quarterfinals, and they stand on 0 points after 3 games. So
yeah, you're picking and choosing here. You also had Montpellier in 3rd and Guillaume in 5th.
Yeah, so, that can still land. That can still land. That can still happen.
Exactly. We all did really well.
Exactly.
If we could just pick out 3 teams.
But I think the 2 teams, I suppose, in terms of Magdeburg and Wisła Płock, the 2 teams that did so well last year, I really did think they're going to struggle. The question is, I suppose, for those 2 teams especially, so Magdeburg and Wisła Płock, who are already in a relatively tough position to for Magdeburg, they're already 4 points behind the automatic spots. Wisła Płock got 0 points. Do you think they can turn it around and get into a comfortable position? So what that means is Magdeburg actually getting a quarterfinal spot, and for Wisła Płock, it's getting into probably somewhere like 4th. Probably 4th is where, a team that got to the quarterfinals should be. What do you think?
The game that Płock had against GOG was just an absolute matchup nightmare for them. They just couldn't cope with them. But if you looked at the Montpellier game, they were in that game the whole way, and they probably could have won it at certain stages of the game. And I think the red card in the second half to Tim Lucin was a big thing that changed the dynamic of the game. When you took him out of the backcourt, I think it really hampered them. So could they have won that game? I think they definitely could have won the game. Could they have beaten Porto on the opening day? Also, they lost by 1. So I think it could have looked very different for them. So they're not a million miles off it now. And their next 3 games are going to be really important. They're kind of, I don't want to say season defining, but Magdeburg, Veszprém away, and then Celje at home. You'd imagine they'll beat Celje. But is it that crazy to think they could get a result against either Magdeburg and Veszprém? I think they probably have it in them. But it's going to be tough for them. And if you're asking me, are they going to get to another quarter final at this stage? I'd say they're probably going to be probably no. But I think they're going to be a tough match for everyone in the group still.
Do you stick or twist with Wisła Płock's current position? So they're in 7th in the group on 0 points. Right now they're getting knocked out. Your stick is that they stay knocked out, but your twist is whether they'll go above 5th place.
Above 5th.
What's more likely? I'm not going to give you that 6th place position.
No, that's too easy. No. Above 5th. So 5th or above.
5th or above.
I think Porto are going to drop down a good bit from where they are now in 4th. I think they're probably a bit inflated. God, no. No, I think they're not going to finish 5th or above. Probably going to finish 6th, I'd imagine.
So you're sticking with... You don't get the 6th option.
Then I'm sticking.
You don't get 6th.
Yeah. It's a very small twist. A very, very small twist.
So you're technically sticking.
This is quite a cruel question because Płock are either going to finish 6th or 7th. Here's no 5th.
Yeah.
If you look at the teams in there. What are you saying, Alex? Sticking or twist?
I'm sticking that they're going to get knocked out. And I really think that's because of the loss of Kolstad. I think we probably didn't put enough weight on just how key of a player he was for them last season. We talked about Tinley being, a good player, a good replacement for Kolstad in that backcourt. But when you look at the games this season have been so close. And who was it last season? Anytime there was a close game, who got the ball at 10 meters and just smashed it into the top corner? That was Kolstad. So they're losing him in these final close games. And for Wisła Płock, they're always going to be in close matchups in a competition like the Champions League. And losing a really, really top player like that, a player who was their talisman, is going to hurt them. And surprisingly, Porto, I'm a Porto believer, even though, they're definitely flattering to deceive at the moment, but I'm a Porto believer.
Unfortunately for Płock, they have a really talented guy who's going to, I think, take the reins for the coming years in Gerga Fazekas, but he's just a bit too young still. He's 19, very impressive player. He is probably going to take that role, but I can't see him perform, 6 goals out of 6 shots every single time. He did very well a couple of weeks ago against GOG. Yeah, I think that's missing for them, Kolstad.
Chris, you get the question of Magdeburg. So Magdeburg so far have 2 points from 3 games, including, so they smashed Celje in the last game to give themselves a bit of saving grace. They lost 32-20 to Barcelona and 33-28 to Veszprém. So on paper, they have played the 2 best teams in the group and lost to them. I think that result against Barcelona is the shocking one that makes this question probably a little bit more interesting of whether Magdeburg, the current champions, let's not forget, the current champions of the Champions League, they're currently in 5th. If we're going to go with a stick or twist, stick is that they finish out of the quarterfinal spots, and twist is that they get into the quarterfinal. I will leave the 3rd place open for Magdeburg with this question, but I suppose the question is, can they get even close to the to the two teams ahead of them in terms of West Ham and Barcelona?
Yes, I think they're going to finish. They're going to finish outside of the quarterfinals. I think they are going to finish third, which is how I predicted them at the beginning. I think those two opening losses to Barca and West Ham have kind of makes it look worse than it is, and I think their performances overall in the Bundesliga show that this team is not that bad. Maybe they've shifted their focus a little bit. I think they've realized from last season that it's very much a marathon and not a sprint. You know, think about the journey they went on last year, so maybe they're trying to pace themselves a little bit, which could just be like shit journalist talk, and of course they're trying to win every single match. But
the loss of Christiansen has been really significant, and I think the loss of Smits, we talked about both of these things, and Omar Igni Magnuson is just not there yet. They've basically...
So you have to choose one. You have to choose one of the... In that case, you have to choose one of the competitions, I think, at this stage. And they've, from what I've seen, they've chosen the Bundesliga with Klar and Lagergren, who are taking over that position, basically. They're really getting the minutes in the Bundesliga. And then with Smarrison, he's maybe being experimented a bit more with as someone who can take over the Champions League games. So I don't think they will be really competing for the top two. Vesprem might open the door a little bit for them, but not enough. So I think it will be a twist. So they won't finish fifth. I think that feels a little bit unrealistic. But I think third or fourth is more likely. So I'll go with twist, third place.
Yeah, you got the easy one.
Alex, let's give you one then.
Let's go.
GOG, second place at the moment. Actually, second place is not going to be the stick for them, because I think it's fair to say there's no way they're going to continue this unbeaten run. And as now that I've said that, that is very much a possibility. But the stick being a top half finish in Group B, or twist bottom half finish. So top four or fifth or sixth.
That's actually a really good question. I like that. And it's GOG have been such a whirlwind this season. They're currently sitting seventh in the Danish league, while sitting second with 3 wins from 3 in the Champions League, which is... They've lost the coach. I don't know. It's been too wild, and that win against West Ham just really came out of nowhere,
and it was so impressive, that win as well, without Morten Olsen on the court.
Maybe Morten Olsen should just be the coach full time.
His performance against Prosk could suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally against Prosk, he was doing things that were, it wasn't even handball. Sometimes he was just like, what if I shoot from this weird position? Will it work? Nobody's waiting for it, so I'm just going to try it out. And then, next week he's coaching them to victory. It's, bizarre.
I think in terms of matchup, I think, Brian, you mentioned matchups in this group before. And I think GOG have just been West Ham's torn for years now. They always struggle. West Ham struggle with the speed of GOG. The same for Wisla Plock, I would say. Kind of a slower style versus a really fast, crazy style that GOG are playing. While looking at the other teams in the group, I think, and we kind of saw a glimpse of it in their first match against Celje, where Ian Marco Fogg got sacked afterwards. They only beat Celje by 2 goals because Celje could match their speed. I think Barcelona can match their speed and destroy them, as always. I think Magdeburg can match their speed. I think Montpellier can match their speed. Porto might just slow them down enough, because that seems to be what Porto are just best at doing. So I Oh, it's still a toss-up between Guingamp and Montpellier for me, and I haven't been too impressed by Montpellier. They've been good, but they've been a bit wasteful. I think Ahmed Hesham actually had his kind of first good game against I guess Wisła Płock, because they got that win. He got 9 goals, but to date he was shooting something like 40%. Same for Brian Monte, just shooting very inefficiently. So I'm gonna say Guingamp are gonna drop out of the top 4. All of that leading to Guingamp dropping out of the top 4. Montpellier, I'm putting my trust in Montpellier to kind of get it together this season, because they haven't been good enough this season. They even dropped points in the French league already to Limoges.
So do you basically see that Guingamp are going to basically slow down as the season goes on? They're going to get worn down by teams that like Barcelona that can match them, and then eventually we get into the latter stages of the group phase that their style doesn't work as well. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. And like losing Morten Olsen is huge for them. So that's going to go on for a couple of weeks. That will reset them. Yeah, I agree with your statement. I think they will be the teams that they've played so far. I think they've been able to really maximize their potential using with the fast style that they have. The teams that they have left in this kind of round of games might challenge them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were, they stay on these 6 points for a little while. I may be being too harsh here because it's still a team that has gathered, it's still a new team. There's quite a lot of new players and it has a lot of talent, but my money's on Montpellier, so.
Montpellier to be 3rd place still. You're having them there, yeah? They're really twisting back to your original.
Let's see Montpellier back into the original.
Brian, Porto.
Okay.
Currently in the top half. I think the twist for them, or sticking is qualifying for the next round. Twist is them finishing in the bottom 2. You've kind of already suggested that Płock are going to finish in the bottom 2. So actually, what is a suitable twist for Porto then? Any ideas? Or is this just like, this is perfect for them so far? They've beaten the 2 teams they're competing with for 6th place. Is their job done now until March?
I mean, you have Veszprem, Magdeburg, GOG and Montpellier twice then, and a GOG again. When's the next win going to come?
Yeah.
Is it going to be again? Yeah, so they're not going to win a game till February the 28th.
When they face the bottom 2 teams again.
It could really be like that. I mean, they might get a draw here and there in the middle, but I feel like that where they are standing at the moment, I think it really does flatter them. But I do agree with Alex. I do like Porto as a club. I want to see them do well, but it is difficult to see. They could go on a huge losing streak now, and then their confidence is going to be rock bottom. So I'm definitely going to have to say twist. Yes, twist, because they're gonna drop down.
Or drop out. Are we talking drop out of the top 6 or drop down?
Where are they going to finish? They're going to finish. 2/6. Yeah, probably.
Drop down 2/6. All right, here's the question then. In the next 9 rounds, can they get 2
who
victories
could they get
or
a
more?
victory against? Let me see now. Okay, away to Veszprem, they're not going to do anything. Away to Magdeburg, also not. Home, they're going to have GOG at home. I don't see anything there either. Possibly get a result at home against Montpellier. Possibly. Would it be out of this world they get a home draw against Magdeburg or against Veszprem? One of those freak results they do every now and again. I could see that, and possibly, and then beat Celje and then beat Płock maybe again at the end of the season. That's where I see the results at the moment.
Any differences there, Alex?
I'm just trying to think about Porto currently, and they absolutely scraped both wins. Like absolutely scraped both wins. Especially that game against Celje where they were 2 goals down with 5 minutes to go, and
they were what, 7 goals down at half time?
I think it got as high as 8 goals. Yeah, there's 8 goals with 40 minutes gone. Then they went on a 7-goal streak. No, a 6-goal streak followed by a 1 goal from Celje, then a 4-goal streak to go ahead. Then they almost lost it because Celje went on a 3-goal streak, and then Porto scored 3 goals in a row in the last 5 minutes to win it. So that's just wild. And
that you'd rather be on that side of that result than on Celje's side. I mean, that shows a lot of positive signs as well that they could turn that around.
I think Porto have a surprise win in them against the top sides in the whole group, essentially, and that might be enough to seal their spot. But they're not going above 6th. I just don't know, like, what's happened in Porto this season?
They have 2 right backs. That's the key. They finally have some right backs. They have Mamadou Dioku and Jakob Mikkelsen, 2 actual right backs who can play there, which is something they've been struggling with since we've known this team.
40-year-old Cruz at right back?
I think only in man-up situations with 7v6. But hey, yeah, they won the games that you have to win to qualify. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
It's going to be a bleak winter, but they may come out on the right side of it in the end. 3 more teams we haven't looked at properly. The top and bottom teams, we're sticking with them. Barca top, Celje bottom. Doesn't need too much discussion. Then Vesprem, currently in 3rd place after a bit of a tame loss to Georgia, I would describe it as. But besides that, we're looking pretty powerful. Are they going to be in that top 2? They're 3rd at the moment, but it feels like, 2nd place is kind of the stick for this team, and the twist is dropping below 2nd place.
Is it not 1st place as you predicted, Chris, before the tournament started?
That's true. Yeah, I did predict them in 1st place, but Barca just look like they're, well, I say Barca, Emil Nielsen looks like he wants to win the group, and that's all that matters.
What Emil Nielsen is doing is absolute nonsense. I think Barca are ready to just give away Perez de Vargas immediately, cut that contract,
does feel like that.
Get rid of that salary. He's not going to get... It's insane what Emil Nielsen is doing.
It is, yeah. So, Vesprem.
It's a tough one. I think they have looked good, and I think especially in their win against Magdeburg, they looked like a team in control, and they have a great squad. Fabregas has been really, really, really good for them, and I think he'll continue being really good for them. They can probably find him a little bit more, but he's their 2nd top scorer. Right now, they're still searching for their kind of backcourt leader in each game. Yeah. And maybe that's what they want to do, because it just seems like, one game it's going to be Remeli, a 2nd game Elderaz steps up, another one, well, actually no one else has really stepped up except for those 2 players. Casados look good. That has been really surprising. So there's still a little bit kind of that backcourt's a little bit in the air, but they have the talent, and they're going to be good enough to finish 2nd definitely in the group, because they just have the best squad in that group, and I mean a better squad than Barcelona. Also, they absolutely have the best squad. They just don't have the best coach.
They're spoiled for choice in that backcourt. It's kind of it's almost the opposite to Guillaume and Barca in the way that's like, they're not quite firing on all cylinders yet in the backcourt, but that's because they have too many players to choose from. And they will have more when Yahya Omar eventually makes his way back to full fitness. Yeah, I think top 2 is still almost a guarantee.
Yeah, I think it's probably, we're being a little bit misled by the Guillaume result, because as Alex said, they lost to them last season by 1. I think it was a 37-36, and then 36-30 this season. It feels like the way just Georgi play are just a bit like their kryptonite. So maybe you can just ignore the results against Georgi this season and just pay attention to everything else. Yeah, I think they just have an absolutely incredible squad, and I'm really intrigued to see when you have a player like Kozorotov coming in who was so pivotal for last season and the other seasons as well, and how he then fits into a squad where he's maybe not the main character, how he's going to grow into the team there. Also, someone like Lucas Sandell has also been quite quiet. What's his role going to be? How much of a big player is he going to be? Because Alex is right as well. It's been Nedim Remeli who really has been amazing so far, and then the backcourt then has maybe been a bit. I mean, Eldera had a decent enough game against Georgi, and then apart from that, we need to see what kind of characters are gonna step up there. But when you look at the squad, it's absolutely incredible, such depth. So I think they are going to finish second. Yeah.
Okay, that's Group B wrapped up. Group A. This is a little bit more funky.
Oh, let's talk about Kiel. Let's go straight into Kiel.
The top of the table, right?
The top of the table. It's the only table they seem to. I think they might get a chance to top this season. They're just knocked out of the German Cup, losing to their kryptonite Wetzlar, which is incredible. Yeah. They're just, where are they lying in the Bundesliga? They're in 9th in the Bundesliga with 3 wins from 6 games.
4 losses in a row in domestic.
I have to pick one of them, don't you? So they picked clearly the Champions League.
There you go. They've picked the Champions League. Well, still, it could be the last time they're in it for a couple of seasons, so they may as well try and win it. Well, no, that's it, right? Maybe they see that this is the best way to get back into the Champions League next year, by winning it.
That's a good question. Are they going to... Where are they going to expend their energy? Are they going to give up on the Bundesliga season and really focus on the Champions League?
Yeah, I think they were in a not a completely similar situation last season, but they did lose a couple of games early on last season in the Bundesliga, and they still managed by the end of it to turn it around. We can save that for the Bundesliga chat. I don't think they're in a position to be able to decide where they're expending their effort in, because they just seem a bit all over the place. I don't know. They don't know their best team yet. They don't know how to make use of their players to the best way yet. It's which is understandable given the changes over the summer. But in a stick or twist situation, is saying they're going to finish first really the stick here, or is finishing in the top 2 the stick, and a twist finishing mid-table?
Yeah,
which is probably where they're going to finish.
I think finishing
stick.
Top 2 is probably, the stick. Again, we have to say it's Kiel. You know, we can't just be like, oh, Kiel are going to finish mid-table because they're struggling for results. They have an incredible squad as well. They have incredible, probably the best line players in the world. Their backcourt is absolutely stacked. Eric Jonsson, Nikola Bilic is back. Reinkind, Skipper. You know, that's a proper backcourt. They have great wings. They have a great defense. Maybe not the best goalkeepers, and I think that's been the issue. And you have to think that, you know, the games they've lost this season have been Flensburg, Magdeburg, and Melsungen. So, are they that bad?
No.
Yes, they are.
That makes no sense.
Do you think thought I was sticking, but I was twisting? I got you with that last second twist.
Are they that bad to finish in mid-table? Yes, that I agree with. But what you said about the squad, I think, is pretty reasonable. Hendrik Beckler has just come back to to fitness, right? So it's gonna take some time. He didn't look so shit hot from what I saw. Bilic seems to be the big question mark for me in this attack, because Bilic is supposed to be now the leader, like the playmaker in the team. You know, no longer is he the guy who's like, oh, he can be thrown in for 20 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, and he'll put in a performance. If he doesn't, it's okay because Sanders Augustin is there or somebody else is there. Now it's, you know, Asha Pagottu is going to be what Bilic was. He's going to be thrown in, and if he can come up with something great, then fantastic. If not, then Bilic is there. But from what I've seen from Bilic, he has been a little too shy with his shooting. I think maybe because he's supposed to be the playmaker in the team, but it feels like Nikola Bilic is a player who, when he knows he can shoot, he looks so much more dangerous, even if he's as a playmaker. But when he decides, no, I'm not going to shoot in this attack, he's almost anonymous.
Alex, I wanted to ask you about the keeper situation. So the new keeper they brought in, Samir Belasien, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've only seen him honestly play one game against Pellister, and he looked decent. And from that game, I thought, oh, he's probably better than Gerrard. But I haven't seen him now, to be honest, in the Bundesliga. Like, when you say they're weak in that department, do you not rate him as a sign-in or as a replacement to Gerrard, or what are you thinking?
Well, I think Gerrard is better than Belensen. I do. But Belensen is better than no one as a backup to Markva.
Magnus Bierfreund, the friend of beer.
Friend of beer. Essentially, I think it gives them straight away. I think he made an impact because he had that really good game. I think 11 saves in his first game. Made an impact. He comes with a lot of hype from France. He really has been a standout goalkeeper in France for the last couple of seasons. He hasn't made the French squad in that time, but I think he's one of those that everyone was always asking, you know, when is this guy going to get into the squad? By that standing, I think he's not better than Gerrard, but Gerrard's going to be gone for a while. I think I've been thinking about it a little bit, and it's relates to Aalborg as well and Landin's performance to date. And I think the Kiel defense is so good, and Landin was so good, and together at times it was just a beautiful symphony. And they played together for so long. You know, Patrick Winczek, Pekler, Duvniak and Landin have just been together for so long. They know how to play with each other so well. And when you kind of break up that beautiful partnership, both sides are struggling. And it's going to take them a while to figure out their new defenses and goalkeepers. For Kiel, that's a bit of an issue because they're going to rotate their two goalkeepers continually. Then they're going to get Gerrard back in later in the season. So they're never going to get that stability they had with Landin. So I see their defensive and goalkeeper issues continuing into the season, never really settling.
Because if you do feel like there's certain keepers you could take out of any team and plop them into other teams, and they're probably going to get a streak going. Like Emil Nielsen, for example, you feel like you just put him in anywhere, throw the kid on, go in, and he'll get a streak going at some stage. But certain keepers then rely so much on structure and things like that, and you feel like Landin is a little bit like that, and you pull him out of a team, put him somewhere else. He needs to know what's going on in front of him really to function properly, doesn't he?
Yeah, although I do have to caveat Landin is he's been really, really good in the Danish league. He's right up at 40%, but he's been terrible in the Champions League. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it was all Landin's fault why Kiel have been so bad in the Champions League for the last few seasons. He loves the league, really good week in, week out on home soil.
Bus journeys are like his thing, you know. Once he has to get on a flight, no, not for me.
It just ruins him.
I think your sample size here for Aalborg in the Champions League is a bit harsh. I mean, the Kielce game, he managed 10 saves, right? The percentage wasn't fantastic, but he managed 10 saves. Second game, they won against Pallister. He was like 36%. And then he had a really bad game against Szeged. So it feels like one really bad game. And that was reflected, I think, in Aalborg's start of the season. 2 really good games,
Mm.
1 really bad game. But that
One
doesn't
bad
make him
game.
terrible in the Champions League.
But no, you can't just look at total saves.
I didn't. I looked at total
10
saves in
saves.
one, and I looked at percentage in the other.
You did. But what I'm saying is that, that first game, the 10 saves, isn't a good game.
And they won away from home
Because-
against Kelso. It's not always about what did they say about goalkeepers, Alex? It's not always about the number of saves. It's when they make them.
All right, here, Chris, we'll move on. Here's one for you, since this was a big...
Oh, but we didn't make our mind up in the top 2.
Oh,
Are they
no,
staying in
of
the
course
top
not.
2?
No.
Neither team.
That's obvious. No.
That just needed to be said.
I mean, you all
Just
agree
needed
with
to
me,
be
no?
said.
Fair.
Okay. Yeah, I think both will finish just outside the top 2.
A big talking point of you when we did the preview was you agreed that Kielce are going to probably start a bit slower to this group, and that's probably proven to be, correct, sitting 4th at the moment, although they're joint on 4 points with Aalborg and PSG. Where do you see them going from here on out? Keeping in mind also they've lost Alex Dushabayev, which is going to be a huge loss for them.
Feels like they have the complete opposite problem to the last few years, and Alex tweeted from our account yesterday on that topic. Was it yesterday or
Alex
a couple of days
Kulesh
ago?
now,
was
yeah?
it?
Yeah.
Alex Kulesh, yeah.
No, Dushabayev didn't have a takeover on our Twitter
Kulesh on
account.
Dushabayev. They're looking a bit thin there. I mean,
What do you think they do?
it feels like Kielce can get away with it because
Yeah.
they're playing in the Polish league. I think it's kind of the classic Vardar from a few seasons ago situation.
Just to round up, it is 4 to 6 weeks expected for Alex Dushabayev, and it's a bicep injury. Everyone
He
was
said
talking
hamstring
about
to
a
me.
hamstring
Yeah,
injury,
'cause
that's what he said himself as well, that it was.
Well, did you Google Translate this in the website?
No, because he
I
said to
have a
me...
I
feeling-
did Google Translate
Because
it.
Alex, think about what is the bicep of the leg? The hamstring.
The quad is the bicep
No,
of the
but
leg.
think about how the leg moves. If you flex the
No,
leg,
Alex, I was there. He was limping off the court. He fell on the ground. I was right in front of him. I fell on the ground. He held his leg.
because he did limp off with the hamstring, and he had it completely. He was limping around after the game, and he had it strapped up.
Gonna have to look this up. It's
Do some Polish.
not easy.
Do some Polish
It's
homework.
not easy.
No, it's not.
Handball World saying that it was a bicep injury as well.
Also doing the same amount of journalistic research as
Also
you.
doing. I don't. The bicep of
Alex,
the
I
leg,
walked off the corridor
Chris.
afterwards. He was limping in front of me. I had an interview as he walked to the corridor, and I said, "How's your injury?" He goes, "Yeah, it's in my hamstring. Hopefully, it's not my ACL. It's not connected to anything in my ACL. Well, I'll do an MRI on it soon, and we'll see if it's all right." So his hands were looking really good, really hot. Like, so, nothing wrong with his arms. But let's move on here. Like, so here's a question for you, Alex. When you're speaking about tactics, what do you think Kielce are going to do to combat missing Alex in right back, because they don't really have anyone else to come in right back or anyone natural? Are they going to go Marito again? Are they going to play with 2 lines? What do you see them, or how do you see them combating this?
I think they're going to play Danny Dushabayev out there, probably mixed in with a bit of Marito, and give maybe Tchaikovsky a bit of a go. But I don't think Marito is a sustainable solution for them at that right back position. It is an easy solution because they have Konku out there, so they have enough cover on that right wing, and we're not unaccustomed to small Polish right wingers playing right back like Dacek has done for many years. But I think they're going to lean on Danny Dushabayev to mostly fill that gap. In addition, I think the Andy Wolf injury news is probably even just as bad, because we heard about this Andy Wolf injury news, a herniated disc, there was back issues, I think it was back spasms, it was reported initially. Couple of weeks.
I spoke to a couple of people in the club before match of the week there, and apparently he is on the estimated time to come back is on track. So he's on the road to recovery, which is good. So hopefully.
Yeah, he's on track. But then there's also, I heard a comment that, it's like, we'll hopefully be back for the Euros.
With that. 4 to 6 weeks was the original one. The Euro is a good 2 months away or 3 months away.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what worried me. That, there could be, I don't see him being back on the court immediately. He's just started exercise with his full body, essentially, that he's just actually training with his full body and not isolated exercises. So that worries me a bit, even though the young goalkeeper was a Valcek.
Milos Valwak.
Valwak did have an incredible performance.
But 23% in the end. So, it was incredible. He had incredible spells, which goes back to the previous point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly my point from earlier, Chris. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for pulling me up on that.
One man's incredible performance is another man's shite Nicholas Landin performance. So there you go. Or the same man.
Valvak and Landin are not two players on the same.
Correct. I'll give you that.
Chris, do you agree with Alex? Do you think it's going to be like Danny Dushabayev, or do you see them maybe going with Karolek and Tornat on the line?
Yeah, I don't think that two-man line thing worked so well. That felt a little bit... I mean, it opened up a bit of space sometimes for Marito to sneak in as that kind of half right back, half right wing thing.
It's okay for 5 minutes,
Yeah, I think it will be, as Alex said, a mixture of Dushabayev, Marito, and Olejniczak, I think, will go in there as well a little bit. I think he'll be used a bit more in attack because they don't need anyone in the left-back position because they have one of the very best left-backs in the world right now, and Szymon Syczko, right, Alex?
One of the best, if not the best. If not the best. If not the most informed left-back in the world right now. Szymon Syczko. And you laughed me out of the room the last time I said it.
Well, the point was
after his dismal Final Four performance last year.
Let's see him do it at the major championships and at the Final Fours, and then he can be considered the very best.
But he is very informed, potentially the most informed left back in the world right now, and he seems very confident, which I like. He's really like stepping into those long range shots. He's really diving into the gaps, and I think
happy days.
New haircut.
That's it.
Look good, feel good, play good.
I think they'll survive it. I think they'll survive this little injury crisis because of the fact that they can focus on the Champions League, and that they faced two of the three big contenders already. They faced the third one in Kiel next in Match of the Week, and which will be a fun one to do. And then after that, they've got a bunch of games against like the mid-table and lower table teams. So it's actually coming. They survive next week against Kiel, then they have time to kind of cruise for the next month or so in the Champions League. So I think it'll be twist. They're going to go back into the top two for me.
Just a bit of a random question though, but do you feel like, as the kids would say, that we're going to see Dylan Nahees cooking for Kielce this season? Kiel, Jesus, because it feels like he's really up for it. I know.
Yeah, scoring his chances. I don't know. I never know what to expect from him, which is a fun thing to be, like the fun thing to look at, because it felt like last season he really underperformed. But yeah, I mean, last week he looked really good. That was the only time I've seen him properly so far this season. Yeah, there's no reason why not. If he's got the best left back in the world beside him, then that's going to open up a lot of space for Dylan, and we know that he loves a lot of space. That's the only time he shoots. But I want to see some more. I mean, let's put Dylan Naheed at right back. I want to see him in the backcourt more. I want to see more transition play from him. That's where all his highlights come from, when he's in transition attack, when he's doing wild things in defense. This is the Dylan Nahi I think we all want to see.
Good. Okay, who we talk about next then?
Lads, I've been trying to so it is on the website, and it is saying that it's the miesnes, which is the biceps muscle. Maybe it was misquoted on the website. I don't know what's going on.
Why would he be
here,
limping,
but,
though?
4 to 6 weeks for. Maybe the bicep injury was worse than hamstring injury.
God.
So it does seem strange. I'll
Okay, keep investigating.
keep investigating.
Is it the bicep or the bicep of the leg? We'll find out next week.
That's the title of our episode. We got a title for episode at least.
We'll have
Bicep
to
of
write
the
it
leg.
maybe and find out. Bicep of the leg. All right. I want to get Alex Kulesh's thoughts on Szeged next. Alex, currently in 5th place. They got a big win against Aalborg. In the same place, the same team that basically gave them such a heavy defeat that it signaled the end of the road for their last coaching, for basically the end of an era for the team as they were booed off the court. I think it was like a 13-goal loss, 7-goal win against Aalborg. Is this a new era for Szeged?
Do you think the significance of that win for Pick Szeged was actually related to that game you just mentioned, Chris, in terms of it was pure revenge? It signaled they probably felt their lowest as a club after that game last season. Something you forget, it's not a rivalry that really stands out, Aalborg versus Szeged.
Well, Szeged against Scandinavian teams, this is like they just seem to have a real thing about Scandinavian teams.
I really like the Hungary versus Denmark rivalry that's building here. I think that we should foster this one. Pick Szeged, good win, good performances so far. You know, PSG, they played well. They lost by 2. Kiel, they lost by 3 away, and they got a big win. I don't know why they look good. They kind of. If Matskovsek is the guy who's going to be your main shooter, I just don't trust him at all. They're still the same team that shoots from backcourt. I think Bombats has started off the season well, but he did that last season as well. I don't think he has a full season in him anymore, and he actually just announced that he will be leaving Szeged next year. So the new era won't have Dejan Bombac in the.
But they will have Mitton.
They will have probably Ali Mitton.
That's a good replacement.
Well, you talk about that for the future.
Marius Staric has been incredible for them. That's just been a random. He's been their random rocket, quite a consistent random rocket.
The goalkeepers.
What's my sticker twist? What's my sticker twist here?
They're currently in 5th. Brian, I think you said they were going to be 5th. So 5th is the stick. Twist is breaking into the top 4.
I think they will keep having very close, good performances against those top teams, but they'll fall short. But I think that's it. Essentially, I think Aalborg as well. They may have had an eye on the game against Gauge in the league that was happening basically two or 3 days after they played away at Pick Szeged. I'm going to stick.
So Brian, you predict them in 5th, so I'm going to assume that you're sticking there and you're going to pat yourself on the back like Alex did at the start of the show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well done to you, Brian, for that.
Thank you.
Too. Jump into Kolstad here. Come on. This is the real fun topic of this group.
I almost forgot about them. Almost forgot about Kolstad.
What the hell is happening?
What is happening?
Is it growing pains? Is it too early to be jumping to big conclusions about what a disaster it is? That loss to Zagreb, 31-20, was just, being spanked by three guys in their late 30s, you know?
I mean, being spanked by Zagreb has to be one of the most humiliating things in the Champions League, because they're usually...
I think you fold the club. You just fold the club.
Hand the keys in, just stun it, you know? But the worst thing about that as well is Gudjohnsen scored 11 of those goals for Kolstad. So they really had nothing going on anywhere else. I mean, that 8-0 run they went on at the end of the first half was just like... the wheels fell off completely. And didn't they lose also in the Norwegian League as well? So they've lost 3 in a row now.
Yeah, they lost 36-30
by 6 as
Ruiner.
well. I mean, that's like...
by 6.
Yeah. I mean, they have won a game since then. I think they won their last league match, but... Yeah.
They did. Is it just a blip? There seems to be something bubbling here. There's rumors swirling around of the next place for a lot of these Kolstad players, which I don't like the sound of. It's still a great project. You know, they've kind of screwed up the execution of it, but they're probably a little bit ahead of schedule as well. You know, this is the first year in the Champions League. They have brought in their big boys, but their squad is stretched. And I'm gonna say it again, but I'm sick of saying this about Magnus Ruud. Every team he's in, it's like, oh, they just need Magnus Ruud to complete this backcourt. He really gives the width and space that they really need, whether it's Flensburg, whether it's Norway, or now it's Kolstad, but he's never there. Every team needs him. He's just perfect for that team, and he's never there. He's never fit. Same thing now. I think he's actually back.
Yeah, he was playing in defense I saw a little bit last week. That was his first game in the Champions League. But that kind of, this, going back to our preview chat about them, this was the big fear. It's like, if there's anyone missing of that, like, let's say the first choice team, then they're in big trouble. Like, there's a serious lack of strength and depth in there. And I think the losing Smarrison to Magdeburg was a real kicker there, because then all of a sudden Saugason and Sugard can't even like take a break without the team falling apart, and put so much emphasis on them having to not just play, but play really well.
And I'm just gonna go back and question Christian Berger again, because I'm sick of this. Same with Norway. For years we were like, oh, they just don't have the backups, and Christian Berger plays with 8 players, so he was probably fine. Smarrison, grand. One less player to give minutes to, one less player to give me a headache. And I think, you know, you look at this Kolstad team, they did win the Norwegian League in style last season with these backups that aren't good enough.
Well, I mean, is that the question? Are they actually good enough to just not being, you know, are trusted? They like so overshadowed by the new arrivals that it's like, yeah, maybe they've lost a bit of confidence, perhaps?
I think so. I think, you know, I really believe that the way Christian Berger coaches is not conducive to kind of long-term success and building of a squad. He just sticks with his stars. It works brilliantly at times, and then it absolutely collapses at times. And I think he has to fix that, because, again, as he said, it also impacts the players in the squad who are told immediately, you're not good enough. Earn your minutes, but you'll never earn them, essentially. So
yeah, they can't, like, clearly they can't afford to do that, because the Norwegian League is proving again to be not a joke. So they're going to have to be able to find some balance between these two competitions, and Champions League is completely relentless. You know, they've lost a huge game in that kind of race for 6th place already. But go on, Brian.
No, I was going to ask you too, if you, like Alex said there, it's still a good project. Is it a good project though? I mean, a project that came in and they basically lied to everybody about what money they could earn or pay. They have it in their budget that if they don't sell out, it was included in their budget that they're going to sell out every game in the Champions League this season. And if results don't go their way, their budget's going to look pretty bad for next season. They had to ask everyone to get a pay cut. All the players that they won the league with last season have just been completely replaced by all these superstars. And a new coach comes in and doesn't play any of the old players. So, like, when you look at it as a project, who is it good for?
Elverum.
No, but really,
that is damning.
Is it?
It's good for handball. It is good for handball to have a good team. But they just need to get their shit
good
together.
for handball in what way though? Because like these players are probably not even going to be here next season by the sounds of it. So in a way, and in all ways, as it stands right now, it's kind of been a failure so far.
I think you're going a little bit far with this. It is still a top club that has appeared out of nowhere, which is good. It's trying to be sustainable, which is making it difficult. They probably went too much. We talked about that. But it is good for handball. They're not going to be as hyped or as good as they wanted to be. We probably thought they might be. But they're also not going to be 31-20 loss against Zagreb bad. I think that's
no.
We can't just put out the whole season.
I think I would have
down
said this stuff beforehand anyway. I think the financial side of things was the thing that pissed off a lot of people, and the fact that they just got to get into the Champions League the way they did and didn't have to go to the European League first as well. And I mean, you feel like they're kind of rushing to the top a lot, and even the way they kind of, as you talked about, treating the players from last season and how they're kind of just have become also rans is maybe not the best way to do things. What do you think, Chris?
There's time for it to change.
Yeah.
And yeah,
they only lost
looked really good against Kielce.
Yeah.
They actually looked really good against Kielce. That was a great game actually as well. And I think even though they lost, I think that the home crowd was pretty happy with the performance as well.
They've got two really big home games coming up against Szeged and then Kiel. If they get a win in either of those two games, I think that'll be massive for them. And then it'll be like the whole perspective of this project might be a bit different.
So, question for both of you. Question for both of you in stick or twist. And the stick or twist is, are Kolstad going to be fighting with Zagreb and Pallister? Which I think is a twist, because at the start of the season that's not who we thought they'd be fighting
Brian said
with.
they'd be sixth.
Or are they going to be fighting?
I said they'd be fifth. So
it's not a whole.
They're kind of as predicted. Or a little worse.
But are they going to be fighting with Pick, Szeged and Kiel? As you said, Chris, they have two big home games. Are they going to at least put in a good performance against those teams? Or are they going to be battling? And they'll probably win the battle overall against Zagreb and Pallister. It shouldn't be an issue for them. But that's probably not going to be good enough. So the stick is Zagreb and Pallister. Twist is
stick for me.
I think they're finishing sixth. Exactly what I said. Yeah. It's a project built on lies, Alex said.
Can't wait till you go there for match of the week, Brian.
No, I've been too harsh. No, but I know where you're coming from, Alex. As well, I want it to be good. I want I think everyone was hugely disappointed years ago when AG Copenhagen didn't work out. It was just something a bit different, and I think there's something similar in people's eyes here. A whole new club walks into the Champions League, a different name, different colours. And people wanted to work out this kind of Norwegian super team that are playing in the Champions League. I'd love all those things to work out. But I think for me, when you talk about it being, they're trying to be sustainable. If you're trying to be sustainable, you're not lying to people like that. And you're not underpaying your players. And you're not putting in the budget that every game has to sell out, because that's not sustainable. Because if every game doesn't sell out, then you're under budget for the season. All these kind of things, I think it isn't a sustainable way of acting, And I think they probably should have got the European League first, But that's a different topic altogether. But I would love it to work, Don't get me wrong.
We have one team left to talk about. Pallister, we kind of assumed Pallister are finishing last. That's what I've assumed. And because you both said, or we've all said Kolstad are going to finish sixth, that Zagreb are going to finish seventh, despite this great victory.
Yeah, let's hold on. No, we're talking sticker twists, not exact positions. Well, are they gonna trend up or trend down? Is the
quick fire questions to you do then? Pallister Are they going to stick or twist? Are they going to stick in 8th, or are they going to twist up to 7th?
I think they're going to trend up. They're not going to be as bad as they've been, but they might finish last. But I don't think they're going to be
a disgrace.
They're still their home games are still going to be an incredible atmosphere, and it's going to throw off teams, and they're not going to be a disgrace.
Okay. Brian,
I
agree.
It's just really
it's very harsh now, but I don't think they're going to win any games this season. I think they might get 2 draws, and that's probably pretty much going to be it. So they're going to be rock bottom for me.
Zagreb, are they going to trend up? They've just recorded their greatest win in years. Are they going to trend up or down?
Well, if 36-year-old Cuban Joel Morales keeps absolutely smashing teams, then maybe they'll trend up. But I think that might be unlikely.
Mate Mandic, 16 saves, 47%. Do we have to talk about him being possibly the best goalkeeper in the world? I'm not sure. I think that might be the highlight of their season. But I think they will have a few results in them here or there. But I'd say they're probably going to still finish 7th.
It's their most solid team in a few years, I have to say. They look like a solid bunch of lads. But yeah, and this group, not enough to be in the top 6. And PSG. They lost, but that was because Luke Steins was having a baby. And so he sat his missus was having a baby, so he sat that one out, which I think he can afford to do in round 3 of the competition. Besides that, I don't have any fears about them finishing first place, which I predicted pre-season. What about you guys?
To round off this podcast from where we started, the Spin talked to Nikola Karabatic, and he kept saying that PSG are a team now that don't have the same pressure, or they're not expected to win anything. And I just disagree with that. They still have a really, really good team.
They do.
They have a stacked squad. They have the biggest budget in handball. They actually do still have the biggest budget in handball. And they're always at the top. They're always in the Final Four. I just disagree with... Maybe it's Nikola Karabatic's defeatist attitude. Maybe he's
Classic him up.
He's not a real,
classic,
he's just
classic
he doesn't
Karabatic.
have the winning mentality. He just doesn't have it. But I think PSG are going to continue winning and win this group.
Yes.
And Kamil Shipchak's going to score 200 goals.
Trend up.
Yeah, the squad is fantastic. The squad is really fantastic. If you can go to Kielce and almost beat them with both goalkeepers having a disaster and no Luke Steins, then yeah, that shows there's some depth in that team for sure. That's our look at the early stages of the Champions League. Any little tidbits before we depart today, boys?
Anything else to add?
I saw a great European League qualification game the weekend in person.
Oh, yes.
Well, that was fantastic. It was the women's European League qualifiers. It was Unna from Gothenburg against Hypo Niederösterreich, which a friend of ours, Ines Ryan, was playing for Hypo. And it went to a penalty shootout, which is what you really want to see. Hypo were like 5 goals down, 3 down in aggregate, managed to draw themselves level, went to a shootout, and I think it was the 8th round of penalties, so it went to sudden death as well. Both teams had a chance to win in the shootout. Both missed their chances to win in the shootout before Unared managed to get the victory in the end. So yeah, some exciting European League action, which gets me hyped for the European League group stages to start at some point. I don't know when that happens, but when it does, we'll be there.
Yeah, what's going on with the European League? They're just going to...
They'll figure that one out later, I guess. That's due to start at some point, right? With the new format of that competition. And speaking of which, I've just seen an article on Eurohandball pop up with Sindrich's Bucharest adventure. The whole team has great potential. So I guess that means that Lucas Sindrich And Dinamo Bucuresti will be starting their European League campaign soon. Maybe we'll have to do a morning club on that, or a podcast on that.
We might.
In the coming weeks.
Also, I think we've joked about this off air, but we haven't actually said it on the podcast, and that is that Petr Nenadic has gone to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
He's going to play in the IHF Super Globe for Kalij. So there's quite a few rumours going around about it. So there was this figure of $600,000 for a season for Kalij, but to confirm that he has actually just gone there for the IHF Super Globe. So he's just done the classic join a Saudi team for the Super Globe. He may stay on afterwards. That's uncertain. But the contract and the deal right now is that he is just with Kalij for the IHF Super Globe. Let's see where he goes afterwards. Maybe he just wants to flaunt his talent at the greatest show on earth.
Yes.
And get picked up by a top club. So.
Do you know what I've always thought, boys? I always thought Super Globe needs a bit more attention. And do you know, we'll have to see about doing a podcast or two about it when it comes around. I've changed my mind about a Super Globe. I'm all team Super Globe now these days.
Team Super Globe.
It's only a matter of time for me to get that tattoo.
I'm excited about this. The teams in it this year, quite fun. We have an Argentine team in, I think for the first time. Usually it's Brazil that's represented from South America, but San Fernando handball going to be there from Argentina. University of Queensland are in there. They shocked Sydney Uni to qualify. Our friends from San Francisco Cal Heat are back in. So yeah, lots to look forward to there. That is basically in a month's time, 7th to 12th of November. It's at a better time of the year as well, right? They used to just squeeze it in at the beginning of the season where nobody really wanted it to be there. Now in November it feels a bit more suitable, so maybe we can give it some attention closer to the time.
Thank you, everybody. This was another Handball Hour from the OGs of the English language podcasting network when it comes to handball, or all things handball. Thank you. I'll go spin around the guests again. Once again, it's Chris O'Reilly and Alice Kulish joining myself, Brian Campion. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time. If not here, then for a morning club on our Patreon. Goodbye.